Now, we're expecting a bit of a pickup, but overall, the broader picture when it comes to consumption, when it comes to consumer sentiment, I mean, it feels like Australian shoppers are miserable at the moment. Is this because of that they're just levered up to the hilt when it comes to mortgages?
I don't necessarily think that. I think so. I think that's one factor, but don't forget, household debt in Australia has been rising for a long time, and these fears around debt causing spending to collapse have been around for a long time. So I don't think that's necessarily the big factor. So it's one factor. I think the main factor is very low wages growth. We're seeing wages growth at record lows, 1.9%. Cost of living is going up, 2.1% on the most recent numbers. Big rises in prices for things like utilities, electricity and so on. And the other big factor, of course, is the huge number of people who are underemployed, people who have part-time jobs and they want full-time jobs. So that's the main dynamic going on here. And then when you overlay that, I think there's a bit of concern amongst some households they've got too much debt. There's concern maybe that house prices will start to fall, so you've got a wealth negative effect creeping in there. But at the end of the day, I think it's low wages and high underemployment.
Yeah, I mean, if you, to that point, take a look at this chart. I feel like we show this every time, but it just paints in such stark relief, doesn't it? 61.91 on the terminal, going in opposite direction. Loans, household debt, all-time high, wage growth, all-time low, despite these kind of heroic assumptions in the budget that was delivered. Is this going to be an issue when it comes to, you know, disinflation? And is it going to be an issue when it comes to the component of domestic consumption that makes up growth?
Well, I think it's a big issue. It's a big issue for the budget because the budget assumes that wage growth will pick up over time.
Almost double.
Almost double, but they've been assuming that for years and years now, and it hasn't happened. It's a big issue for inflation, as you say. We have seen a perk up in inflation in Australia. The headline rates come from down closer to 1% up just above 2%. But the problem is that as long as you've got this very low wages growth, the underlying rate of inflation will remain very low. And my feeling is that it's going to take longer for underlying inflation to get back in the Reserve Bank's target zone than the Reserve Bank is allowing for. And then when you put all of that together with weak consumer spending, I think it's way too early for people to say, well, the next move in interest rates is a hike. I think, if anything, this year there's more risk of a Reserve Bank rate cut than an interest rate hike.